Gugu here. Just bringing you guys another video, and this one is going to be on how to make some gold. It's a pretty good method. We'll be mining today, so if you guys don't have the 550 or 600 mining or so, I suggest you get that up and then continue watching this video. If you guys want to see the results, how much gold you can make per hour depending on how you execute the method, just go ahead and skip to the end of the video and check that out. And if you want, it might be kind of a long video, so if you guys stay, I'll be giving you guys some tips how to make some more gold, how to stay focused throughout the video. So it'd be appreciated if you guys could watch the whole video if you want. Leave some comments below if you guys want me to do any different tutorials. Yeah, so let's get started. We're starting off in Town Long Steps today, and the route we'll be taking is, sorry for the jank map by the way, the route we'll be taking is starting from the Town Long Steps east side, following this route right here, coming up around and looping around over here, getting right next to the tree and coming around, cutting back just like this. And you can see we're pretty much following the outskirt of the map, disregarding that one cut back over here. There's not much ore over here, as you can see from my add-on. Let me scoop it around over here, and once you get over here again, instead of continuing your path around, it's going to take some time for your ores to reset. They doubled the respawn rate, or they have the respawn rate I should say, in the last patch. So from here you're going to want to go ahead and go through Vale of Eternal Blossoms and just kind of follow this path. And once you get here, you're just going to cut back and then start from here and just make your lap back around your Town Long Steps. So we're going to go ahead and start doing that now. You can see we're starting over here in the east side. It's also a better idea if you want to cut across kind of right here to get the most ores to pop up on your screen. One thing I have noticed is Trillium ores tend to give, or Trillium veins tend to give a lot more black Trillium than white Trillium. So if you end up with a lot more white Trillium, or a lot more black Trillium, you might want to ask your guildies, your friends, trade around to see if you can even out your whites to black ratio. Now, an add-on you guys might want to check into is Gatherer. That's the add-on that you see on my map. That this didn't come preloaded on here. Every time I pick up an ore, it checks if I have an ore picked up from that location, and if not, it puts that on my map. So this map over here used to be blank. It didn't have any ores on the screen. I did mine all these, so that's why all the ore nodes are on there. And you can also set it to turn on your mini map. I just think it's a little closer to my mini map, so I always keep it off. Now another thing is I have the 280% flying speed. It's okay if you guys only have the regular flying speed. It's not a big deal. It does increase your profit per hour if you have faster mounts. So the 310 might not be a bad idea. It is an extra 4,000 gold, but it does help if you're going to be doing this for a long time. Now, something I do, I'm a Holy Paladin, so my DPS output is not that great. If I see an ore that's next to an enemy and it's going to aggro if I try and mine it, I'm not going to do that. The only time I'll do that is if I see a Trillium vein, because Trillium is actually quite expensive, so it's worth it. And right now we're doing our loop. Sorry for the terrible FPS, I'm on my laptop at college right now. We're doing our loop around the top here. Usually a lot of Trilliums will spawn over there in the corner. This node has been there for years. I'm not going to aggro these 1 mil health guys, just not worth it. You can see all these ores that I've found over my time mining on my mini map. You can see this is exactly what I try to avoid. I didn't think I'd be aggroing these guys, but apparently I did, so it's going to be lowering our profit per hour. it's a good idea just to pop your cooldowns whenever you aggro something. You won't be fighting that often, so your cooldowns will come back by the next time you fight something. Like I said, we will try to be avoiding that as often as possible. It's just it does happen sometimes. And as you can see right now, we're looping back over here, and right here is where we're going to cut over here to the next to the tree. So we're going to check over here for ores pretty much. If we see none on our map, and I see one over here, ghost iron, we're going to go ahead and grab that. And it's going to aggro all those guys, so I'm not going to grab it. So now we're going to cut back pretty much through the middle. And there's usually about twice as many nodes. It looks like someone's been farming here already. It really just depends on how populated your server is. Let's see here. Usually there's a lot on this little ridge over here. Anytime you're mining in any zone, this pretty much applies. Just look for little mountain ridges or little hilly areas like this. Ores tend to appear more often in areas like this than in open fields. And then once we get to the end of this little line right here, we're going to cut straight across to here. Now there's 3 white trillium, and these bars over here, don't count those. I just had those in my pack before I started this video, so we won't count that in the profit towards the end. Now these guys only have like 50,000 health, so I'm just gonna kill these guys real quick. If I could get my hotkeys correct, that is. Now another good tip for you guys to stay focused. You're going to be profiting most from mining or herbalism, gathering professions, if you do it for long periods of time. So it's a good idea to watch TV while you do it, listen to your favorite songs, your favorite bands, whatever. Just try and get your mind off of it while you're doing it. That way you're not focused on, oh, I've been doing this for 2 hours, or I've been doing this for an hour and a half, whatever. It's best to keep your mind off that. That way you can just keep going for as long as you feel like it. Now it's also a bad idea to go in caves. It just takes a while because there's always going to be enemies in there, so it's always just going to be a profit loss in the end if you go in caves and stuff. Another thing is you are going to be making better profit if you're in, I don't remember what level it is, guild, but let's just say 25 to be safe. You do get a chance to proc extra materials from gathering professions, so it's definitely a good idea to be in a high level guild. And if you see one over the wall, just go ahead and pop over and grab it. It'll definitely help out in the end. It's not that far out of the way, so just popping over and grabbing it's not a big deal. Also, another good thing is if you're trying to maximize profit from mining, it's a good idea to have a transmute master. That way you can transmute any bars you smelt or anything, if you choose to, into trillium bars, and then from there you can transmute trillium bars into living steel once a day. Hopefully you get a proc from that. And of course these birds decided to aggro on me, so we'll just get them down real quick. And we have hit the corner again, so instead of making our second lap around, back in patch 5.05, it was okay to just keep going around and around. The nodes had a really quick respawn rate, but now in this patch, it's pretty much halved, so you're going to have to divvy your pattern up a little bit. So there's actually a lot of Trillium in Veil of Eternal Blossoms, so it's not too big of a deal. Might aggro the spider, yeah, of course. They really need to give Holy Paladins some better attacks. Yeah, I know you guys may be saying it's better to do in Retribution, but I suck at Retribution, so we're just going to leave it at that. And obviously, it's going to be quicker to do this on a Druid, because you can just go down, mine the ore, and then pop in a bird form instantly and fly away, and it's pretty sweet. It's a good perk to have. And also it's going to be better to mine in a DPS spec, only because if you do draw those occasional mobs in, you are going to be able to get them down really quickly and get back on your way to mining your ores. And it's also not a bad idea to have a miner and an herbalist on the same toon, only because if you see, you know, that occasional golden lotus or even green tea leaves on your way, or what have you, you're going to be able to grab both of them and fill up your pack even quicker with materials and, you know, maximize profit. Another thing I've noticed is there tends to be a lot of Trillium over here by the golden lotus dailies, the first set at least. Usually every time I'm over here there's a Trillium somewhere. In fact, this is where I picked my 3 white Trillium up on the way to starting this video. Also, another way to maximize profit while doing this is to ultimately turn all your ores and bars into the highest state possible, being, you know, living steel bars, and then from there ultimately making them into living steel belt buckles, because that's going to really maximize your profit. And so it's best to have an alt that is a blacksmith. I'm not sure the exact blacksmithing requirement, or, you know, just a guildie who is willing to do it for you, or maybe even find someone to tip them. Just make sure it's still worth it. And you can see we're cutting across now. We might go through this water. Actually, we're going to go just around here like this. Doesn't seem to be a lot of Trillium out today, but usually there is, so it's not too big of a deal. The profit you see here in this video, it's not going to be maximized because there has been someone through these areas recently and the respawn rates are lowered, so just keep that in mind. And I have no idea what's up with the rich veins. Usually I still only get like 5 ore per rich vein, and sometimes from the little, yeah, see there's 5 right there. Sometimes from the little, just the regular normal rich ghost, or sorry, there's the regular ghost iron veins, I sometimes proc 7, so I don't really know what's up with that. They should fix that. So see, I got 5 from both of those. Let's see if I can get a good proc to prove my point, unless it looks stupid. 4. Okay, that's close enough. There should be a bigger difference from mining a rich to as opposed to a normal vein. Alright, so we're going to make our path through the water, or by the riverside, creekside, whatever you want to call it. There also tends to be a lot of Trillium over in this little pond right here. Sometimes it can be deep in the water, but it is worth it to fight the crocodiles, alligators, what have you. Crocolisk's. But yeah, it's definitely worth it to fight the guys and just grab. Oh, what is he doing there? Yeah, it doesn't look like there's any today, or at least right now. Someone's definitely been through this area. So now we're just going to cut back across, see if we can find any extra ores on the way. And then from there, our route will just be restarted. I'm just going to go back around. And usually within one lap around Town Long Steps and Vale of Eternal Blossoms added together, I do usually get at least a couple of each trillium. Here's our first trillium vein. I usually do get at least a couple of white and black trillium, usually 5 of each on average from one trip around. So just keep in mind that this trip is a little dry. I should have timed myself for this trip so we can find out profit per hour, but I'll just look at the length of the video thus far. And once we get back up to this corner, that will be the end of our trip. And looks like that'll do it. So I'll get back to you guys with the numbers at the end of the video. Okay guys, here's the numbers that I came up with at the end of this video. And remember, this was out without getting any trillium bars, solely from trillium ores, only because this is a dry lap around. I'm just going to go ahead and round my time up to 15 minutes. I believe my time was 12 minutes for this lap. Quote me if I'm wrong. We'll see when I put this video up on YouTube how long it was. But we'll just say it was 15 minutes. We're going to times that by 4 to get our 60 well, 4 laps, so 60 minutes is 1 hour / 1 hour. So whatever our profit is, we're going to times that by 4 just to get our per hour profit. And so we have 120 ores, and if you can get 2 bars out of every ore, we're just going to divide that by 2 to get 60 bars. So right now, you can just like how many stacks of ghost iron you have, and for every stack you have 10 bars. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stacks. So we're going to have 60 bars. And on my server right now, 1 stack of ghost iron bars is 150 gold. So 150 gold times by 3, because we'll have 3 stacks of bars. Times by 3. That's going to equal 450 gold. Now if we take those ghost iron bars instead and transmute them into trillium bars, we'll have, so since we had 60 bars, that was how much we had, and it takes 10 bars to make 1 trillion bar. We're going to end up with 6 trillion bars. So 6 trillion bars. Trillium bars. On my server, trillion bars are 100 gold each, so times by 100, and this is going to be 600 gold. Not 500, 600 gold. So if we times this by 4 to get our per hour profit, if you leave everything in bars, you're going to have, let's see, 1600, you're going to have 1800 gold per hour. If you leave everything in bars, and 600 times by 4 is 2400. So you're going to have 2400 gold per hour if you transmute into trillium. Now, if you even go from trillium to living steel, we had 6 trillium, so that's going to be enough for 1 transmute of living steel. Living steel on my server is 600 gold. So there's no profit loss or profit gain if you transmute this directly into living steel. But if you're a transmute master, you're going to have the chance to proc up to 6 living steel per 1 transmute. So this is a profit maximized profit of times by 6, so you're looking at 3600 times by 4 even, just to get your per hour. But you can see how much extra money you can make by trying to transmute into living steel. And then from there, you can even do living steel belt buckles out of your living steel bars, and you can maximize profit even further, because on my server belt buckles are around 800 gold. So right now we're making 800 gold times by 4. And this is if we do belt buckles. 800 gold times by 4 to get our per hour. That's 3,200. Whoa, I need to fix my typing here. That's 3,200 gold per hour if we make belt buckles from everything we get. Now my last tip to you guys is to not get undercut at the auction house. If you guys are putting your stuff up on the auction house for how much you see it as already posted, and you keep getting undercut, don't keep lowering your prices. That's just gonna put the economy, so to speak, in a worse state, and your stuff's not gonna be worth as much. So my tip to you guys is to try and sell it in trade chat. Just keep it in your bags or in your bank until you can find a buyer who's going to buy it for what it's worth. Because if you keep cutting your prices down, you're going to see half a profit that you should have had. And it's happened to all of us, but it's just better to keep your stuff until you can find a buyer who's going to pay normal price for it. Alright guys, once again, this is Kugu. If you guys have any requests on tutorials, anything goes, PvE, PvP, gold making, leveling up, professions, whatever, just leave a comment below on what you would like to see, and I'll see what I can do. Have a good day.